Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Captain Marvel, The End. This is a one-shot, a little bit bigger of a book than we're used to, but unfortunately it's just not quite big enough. But all that being said, this was still a fantastic book. This is going to be one of the final reviews that I wind up doing pretty soon. More details on that at the 8 o'clock podcast this coming Saturday. That's p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get talking about who made this comic book and why Kelly Thompson and this entire crew is evil. Okay, so this is The End, Captain Marvel. Kelly Thompson is the writer. Carmen Carnero is the artist. David Curiel on colors. VC's Travis Lanham doing letters. Raza doing the cover art. And Peach Momoko doing the variant cover. So basically this is Captain Marvel 20 or so years in the future, and she's abandoned the Earth because it's been destroyed. The sun winked out. No explanation realistically as to why it happened. No explanation needed. Just bad things happened, okay. And for the most part, everybody on Earth has died. Well, the truth is, actually, it's not really the case. She gets an Avengers Assembled text message, I guess, like from her little beeper, kind of like the device at the end of that she gave to Nick Fury at the end of the Captain Marvel movie, and that we saw at the end of Infinity War, where she was summoned by Nick Fury, whose disembodied hand was just decorporalizing right in front of him, and boom, still had the energy to do that. The man's got a great willpower, can't be argued. Anyway, so this was fun. She goes back to Earth. Turns out there's a whole bunch of survivors who still existed there, and some of those people who are there, she knows. I think it was supposed to be Jessica Jones who was there. Like, it might have been Jessica Drew, but I think it was Jessica Jones. Whatever. Either way, whoever it was, just it's one of the Jesses, and I loved that. Absolutely loved that. Let's see. There was a bunch of other people there, including a bunch of children of superheroes. Hazmat was also there. And then there's also the Danny Cage, who is Jessica Jones and Luke Cage's daughter. And on top of that, there's a new character. There's a couple new characters in here. One of them is Rogan Gambit's kid, which, oh my God. And there's also Misty Knight and Danny Rand's kid. That's Iron Fist's kid. You know, one of the greatest travesties in comic book history, in my opinion, is when Iron Fist and Misty Knight, Iron Fist and Steel Fist, basically, when they, Steel Arm, when they broke up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was travesty. But honestly, I looked at it as these two belong together. So whatever road happens, and eventually at some point, someone is going to bring these two back together again. And hey, if it's Kelly Thompson, more power to her, because, I mean, Kelly Thompson, chosen one. I'm just saying. And it is great to have the entire team of the Captain Marvel book working on this book. I think that's what they should do for all of the End books. So it's actually somebody who's current relevant on the book, and it actually matters more because it could potentially affect the story and how they tell it and what they tell in the future. All that being what it is, there are a couple of weird things in here, including her talking to herself and talking to people who don't understand her and talking to beasts who probably don't understand anything. But she's still talking to them. One, comic book, let it go. Two, she's in space. She's by herself. She's a little bit crazy. Another thing that people might be wondering about is, why is she so powerful like this? Well, she's binary, for crying out loud. She's Warbird. She does have this kind of power. And plus, outside of the Earth's atmosphere, she is much more powerful because you don't have the natural greenhouse. Well, we're not going to talk about the greenhouse effect. You don't have the ozone layer protecting us from most of the sun's radiation. Outside, she's out there, and she's got the power to resist F all whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that is a freaking fantastic thing. All that being said, this was like a special kind of awesome, all right? Because this is the end. Spoilers, she dies in a book called The End. But when you think about it, the current books and the books back in the day of The End, the only one you could really argue, I guess, that who went out on his or her own terms would be the Punisher. Live by the sword, die by the sword. But for the most part, like Captain Marvel in this, basically, she goes out on her own terms. And she goes out as a hero. This is what I mean by Kelly and the crew here are actually kind of evil. because they're doing something that you're not supposed to do in comic books. Actually, you're supposed to try and do it every so often. Is they're making us cry our own tears, not somebody else's tears. This is not like, you know, the Conan style where it's like, oh yeah, man, try to hear the lamentations of the women and the disembodied, the and we killed and the spread the and decapitation. No, this is entirely different. This is literally, you know what this actually reminds me of is the way that she said it. It's a good death. It sounds very similar to what we see at the end of you're kidding me, I'm going to forget the name of this movie now. Brad Pitt movie. Okay, I think Dennis Hopper was in it, but Brad Pitt is a Brad Pitt movie. The Legend of the Wild or something like that. God, crap. And I got to go and find this and add this into the thing. I'll probably put it like right here or something like that. But yeah, it was an amazing movie, and the way that that movie ended was like, if you didn't already infatuatingly love the movie, you cried your eyes out at the end of that movie because they're really Legends of the Fall, mother fathead. Yeah, I remembered it. I remember. That's why I didn't put anything down there, because I ain't editing if I don't have to edit. Booyah! So anyway, Legends of the Fall it was called. And yes, the end of that movie was like the last words that are spoken. It was a good death. It's like, dude, oh my God. Like, yes, yes, yes. Brad Pitt is freaking awesome in that. He's awesome in a bunch of stuff. But the idea is that this seemed very much like that. And I loved it. Yeah, I love that. Like, that's how you go out. You go out as a freaking hero. You go out on your own terms if you're able to. This was a beautiful book. But look at the team making it. Duh. So, honestly, for me, if there was any of these end books that you really should consider getting, it's this one. If I did have to point out a major flaw of this book, it's that it wasn't twice as long as it should have, or as long as this one was. Like, this could have been an 80-page book, maybe not an 80-page, but you could have done a 64-page book on this, just to give it a little bit more life, just to give it a little bit more story, just to give it a slight more of that slow burn. You know what I'm saying? This was a beautiful story, but it definitely could have benefited from being able to go on just a few more pages to kind of, you know, like the end, the way that that worked, like just a couple things in here. It would have been nice, you know, to have a little bit more of the battle that was up there and just whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was good enough just like it is. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. All right, and I'm out. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.